Logan the Layman Critic here. It's been a while, but here I am. Today's review is for Sonic the Hedgehog. It's directed by Jeff Fowler and stars Jim Carrey, James Marsden, and Ben Schwartz. Get ready for some spoilers. Let's talk movies. Sonic comes from another planet, and because of his power of super speed, he's constantly at risk of being captured and exploited for his abilities. So he's forced to leave his homeworld through the use of these special rings that allow him to warp to different planets. He ends up on Earth and accidentally draws the attention of the government, who enlists the aid of Dr. Robotnik. And now he's being hunted again, and he needs the help of Tom, the local sheriff, to recover his warp rings and get to a safe planet. Well, folks, I think they cracked the code. They finally made a good video game movie. And I don't mean good in comparison to other video game movies. I mean actually good. An actual entertaining movie for its own sake. Sonic the Hedgehog is a good, clean family film, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I took my dad with me to see it, someone who hasn't played a video game since probably the NES era and knows pretty much nothing about the games, or Sonic in particular, and he really liked it. Like a lot of people, I did not have high expectations for this movie. The idea of taking Sonic out of his world and putting him into our world sounded incredibly lame and lazy and seemed too much like the Smurfs film from a few years back. Casting Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik and making him look and act nothing like the character didn't throw me either. And let's not even go into the original design they were using for Sonic. Eesh. So all these things added up to a conclusion that this would be yet another film adaptation of a video game that was only tenuously linked to its source material. Now, ordinarily, I try to avoid looking at reviews before going into a movie because I don't want my opinions tainted by other people. I like to go in cold, but I started seeing reviews for this movie that were very positive, and it got me thinking, oh, maybe this won't be a train wreck. So I had my first impression, which was overwhelmingly negative, and that was being put against reviews that were largely positive. So with these two things in mind, I went into the theater wanting my preconceptions to be wrong. Sonic the Hedgehog kind of has an E.T. sort of plot, melded with a buddy film, melded with a road film, melded with a comic book movie. And it works pretty well for the most part. Ben Schwartz plays Sonic as the character should be. Wisecracking, happy-go-lucky free spirit that craves excitement and adventure. He doesn't have the level of rebelliousness or irreverence of his very, very, very super 90s incarnation, but he's definitely got more personality than what they gave him in the adventure games and beyond. He's got great banter with Tom, played by James Marsden. Usually when these kinds of movies have a human character featured so prominently, you get annoyed because they end up dominating the story over the title character. I mean, a comparable example would be Sam Witwicky from the Transformers films. Fortunately, we don't suffer that here. Tom is not the protagonist. He serves as a comedic and dramatic foil for Sonic. He's likable, and he has funny lines and goes through an arc that it's paralleling Sonic's. I'm still on the fence with Jim Carrey as Robotnik. He's certainly entertaining, but he's really not anything like the character. I'm inclined to give this a pass because the movie does set up progression for him to become the Robotnik we recognize from the games. Some of the reviews I looked at credited this as a return to form for Carrey, his performance being compared to his work in the 90s. Yes and no. I could really only point to one scene where I see where they're coming from. He's doing an analysis of one of Sonic's quills that he found, and he's kind of doing a weird dance or whatever. But other than that, he's funny, but it's not like his stuff from Ace Ventura: The Mask. The action and special effects were very impressive and satisfying. I loved the backstory where we see Sonic's world. It's just like the games, but in movie form. It's very cool. There's a bar fight scene that is very similar to what Quicksilver does in the X-Men films, and even though it's very clearly ripping off of those, it doesn't feel like it never takes away from how enjoyable it is. The action scene where Sonic and Tom are on the run from Robotnik, that's pretty fun. You've got a robot tank that Sonic fights with, and he destroys it, and then it becomes another smaller robot, and then gets destroyed and becomes an even smaller robot, and then another. It's not really played for laughs, but it's kind of funny. I do wish that the robots and Robotnik's vehicles looked more like the games, but maybe we can look forward to that in future films. And speaking of, this movie definitely sets itself up for sequels. With the warp rings, you got all sorts of possibilities for different exotic planets and zones. I don't know why they never actually used the term zones. You'd think that they would have thrown that in there at some point, but I digress. We see Echidna warriors at the beginning of the movie, and Tails shows up during a mid-credits scene. I do hope Knuckles gets brought into the fold. Metal Sonic, maybe Amy Rose, maybe pull characters from other media, like Sally from the Saturday morning cartoon, or Short Fuse from the Fleetway comics. That would be pretty cool. There's a lot of material to pull from. I mean, Sonic's over 20 years old now, and not gonna lie, I'm kind of pumped for more adventures. I haven't gone to the movies much in the past year. There hasn't really been much worth seeing, to be honest. Sonic the Hedgehog served as a nice escape. It's a family film. It's pretty clean. The jokes are age appropriate. There's not much cursing. Maybe 2-3 times at most that I can recall. And the best part of it all is no politics. There's nothing about Trump. There's no identity politics. There's no preaching or chastising or social engineering. It's just entertainment. And we're getting fewer and fewer films that will do that. Star Wars got ruined. Marvel's going that route. DC looks to be doing the same. I'm so tired of it, and it's nice to find something that hasn't been tainted by that yet. So there you have it. Sonic the Hedgehog was great. Go see it. It's fun. Take your kids. Keep your eyes out on this channel. I'm hoping to post a podcast that I recorded a little over a week ago with a buddy of mine. We're going to see how that goes, see what people think of it. Hopefully we'll get some responses, and just trying something new. And it was fun. And I hope that people have a good time listening to it too. So keep your eyes open. Hopefully I will be posting that soon. Thanks for watching.